I'm Aoife Cantwell-Jones. I'm a PhD student at Imperial College London, and I'm at Explore because we recently conducted an expedition to the Arctic to study bumblebees there.
And I'm Suzannah Egleston, and I've just finished a research master's at Imperial, and I was helping Aoife on the field expedition in Sweden.
The Arctic is really facing a rapid pace of change, and at the moment it's not super clear how species are responding there and how much safeguarding they need. And so we want to kind of study the bumblebee and plant communities there to start to understand how the community and species composition of these Arctic ecosystems might be changing and how the timing that things are happening there might be changing. And we really focused on bumblebees and plants and went out to this particular mountain because it had historic data collected on it. So we did field work to try to collect contemporary data and start to see how things might be changing there.
So bumblebees are really important pollinators out in the Arctic. So the Arctic season is really short, and at the beginning when we arrived it was completely snow covered, really amazing, apart from sort of you can see these little salixes popping their heads up, which are a species of shrub. And bumblebees are, because of their size, they're quite big, and they've got special thermoregulatory mechanisms. They're some of the only pollinators active at the beginning of the season, and so they're really important in this ecosystem, and so that's particularly why we concentrated on them.
We were funded by the Royal Geographic Society, which was really incredible. It was the fieldwork grant that we got. We put in an application with our colleague Lucia, who was the team leader as well, but also with the support of our supervisor, Dr. Richard Gill at Imperial. And then there was also a small amount of funding through my PhD and also through Susie and Lucia's master's funds as well. I'm not sure we necessarily knew when writing it, but became more apparent, like the more that we were doing, is just how to think about the bigger picture and how your research is really connected with everything in that ecosystem. So for example, in this region of Arctic Sweden, there are actually indigenous communities who really rely on this ecosystem. So being able to connect our research on bumblebees to kind of like the wider livelihoods of the region and how everything is connected together, I think was quite important for us. And I met the person who actually provided the funds for this, and he said that that was one of the really key things that made our project stand out, was that we thought about the bigger picture in that way. Arctic research is still surprisingly male-dominated, so I think it's also nice to have a female representation just to show others that everyone can do it, which is obviously true, but sometimes you just need to see someone that's done it to know that you can do it too. This is so corny. I really apologise for how corny it is, but I really think that your experience is so much in your mind and your relationships with others. So for example, it can be an ordeal or it can be an adventure. It just really depends on how you view it.
And how you approach it.
And how you approach it. And I think there were times when definitely I was really tired. I was like, why am I doing this? And then I'm actually thinking like, actually this is the most wonderful experience I've ever had, and just having that sort of flip and appreciating what you're doing for how incredible it is so invaluable.
And also having good equipment is quite handy. Waterproof coats are really good. And trousers. We always had the same sandwich. And we had it for however many months we were out there, and I never got bored of it. It was just so good. True. I think it was because we were so hungry by the time we got to lunch. But it was this, in Sweden they have this round bread, and then we would have hummus and falafel. And tofu and lettuce in it, and that was just really good, and I wouldn't leave that behind. Surely the butterfly nets. We couldn't leave those behind.
Oh my goodness. So we catch bees using like poles on sticks, and you can detach the net from the pole to like fold it up. And one time I may have forgotten the poles and only had the net. So we had to try and use a meter ruler and sellotape it onto the net part so that we could actually catch the bees with. So maybe never forgetting the poles, that would have been a good one.